Thanks for staying with us. Now we're going to start with the nation. Wide acclaim greets service chiefs, other appointments. NDLEA NAFDAC board not dissolved, says federal government. Tinubu in Paris for global summit. Naiti raises more dust over NNPCL 60 million daily petrol consumption claim. Emefiele will flee if admitted to bail, AGF DSS tell court. NACON, NEMA back to Vice President's office. EFCC quizzes Autumn. Governor rides bicycle to inspect hospital in disguise. Okay, which story are we starting with in the nation?
Okay, let me start with
He's riding bicycle.
Give us Governor of Sokoto State, Ahmad Aliyu, Sokoto, he paid an unscheduled visit to a specialist hospital, the specialist hospital in the state, because I think he had been hearing complaints, so he wanted to ascertain the quality of the hospital. He rode on a keke, and they said that he got there about midnight, went straight to the wards. He noticed that many of the patients were using torchlights just to see their way around because there was no light. Most of the nurses were sleeping or sitting outside, and then those others were sitting outside because of the darkness, and also they didn't want to be bitten by mosquitoes. He interviewed a few people. They told him that the hospital hadn't had light for 9 months. Have been in that state for 9 months. He said, you know, the dilapidated facilities, erratic power supply, manpower, dearth of manpower, lack of functional medical equipment. Anyways, he has said that he has sent a message to the management of the hospital so that they can do something about what he has discovered, best solutions to it. I'm happy the thing didn't say, oh, we're going to punish. It just went on to say we need to find ways to remedy what we have.
The power holding company.
Or the chief medical director.
But I like this, you know, the atmosphere is let's remedy what is not working.
And that's why we say that if they are involved in this, they would see the problems and know what to do.
If that's their hospital.
But you have options, yes. If you use the hospitals, you know what they are facing. You know the challenges they are facing.
Okay, so just to clarify, the Director of Information from the Office of the Secretary to the Government, Mr. Willie Bassi, has clarified that NAFDAC and NDLEA, both agencies are exempted from the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's approval of dissolving the federal government's boards and agencies. According to him, those two agencies are completely exempted from it, and many of us can always deduce the fact that NDLEA has been working, and obviously the and NDLEA and NAFDAC have also been working, and they've chosen to keep the agencies as is, and those are not part of the dissolution that happened a few days ago.
Okay, so the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, last night released former Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State after grilling him for over 10 hours at their Makodi office. They said the ex-governor had earlier at about 10 a.m. reported at the zonal office of the commission following an invitation from the office. They also said he was invited to answer allegations relating to his 8-year stewardship as governor of Benue State. Now, after spending the entire day at the commission, he was seen driven out of the EFCC office in a sports utility vehicle, that's the SUV, at about 7:55 p.m. He was accompanied by some friends and associates who had waited patiently nearby hotel for his release. So he said they tried to reach him for comments, but he had, spoken earlier to say that he was not arrested. So this was by his media aide, Mr. Teva Akase, saying that he was not arrested by the anti-graft agency, that contrary to the insinuations on, public space that he was arrested, he actually went there by himself because he was invited to come and ask questions about his stewardship. And he had said that he was going to stay in the country for about 6 months in case they need him to come and answer any questions. He's not afraid. He doesn't have anything he had done. If anybody has evidence of what he had done wrong during his time, can present it. Is readily available to, respond to any of their questions and inquiries, basically.
So I was going to take the story of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has returned the two agencies to the Vice President's office. Under the last administration, the former President Muhammadu Buhari had taken NACO, that is the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, NACON. National Hajj Commission of Nigeria and placed it under the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then they placed the ministry, the NEMA, that's the National Emergency Management Agency, under the Ministry of Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management. And according to the administration, this doesn't conform with the law that establishes those two agencies. It was meant to be under the Vice President's office, so it has now been returned to the Vice President's office. They said the President also said that all the number of technical and administrative aids that would be needed to work with the Vice President to make him effective have been assigned to him to discharge his responsibilities.
Also put the proper structure.
Yes.
Also the Vice President can be effective.
Yes.
So it's not just going to be...
It's not a title, or,
yeah,
they have activities.
Okay, moving on now to The Punch. New service chiefs, 100 military generals may be retired. Emefiele's detention backed by court orders, says DSS. Flood sacks residents from Ogun communities. PDP holds reconciliation parley, Wike others absent. FG votes 24 billion naira for 10th National Assembly members' accommodation. Naira closes 756 naira to the dollar as trading rises at official window, and state's external debt rises to 3 trillion naira. Okay.
So we can start with the flood. So they said the landlords and residents are crying for help after flood forced them to abandon their homes and properties in the communities in Ifo local government area of Ogun State. So according to Punch, when they gathered information, they said communities included Okearu, Matogbu, Olambe, Keredolu, Igbaotun, Araromi, Okeado, and Adio Alausa. Those are areas that really have the flooding issue. And they said the rainy season has also compounded the situation. They are facing a lot of hard times. A lot of them had to leave their houses to temporary accommodation elsewhere before they come back. They said most of the people in the environment, some of their houses are built like in the valleys. So when water gathers there, you see water there for as long as 4 to 5 months and nothing is happening there. Some landlords will wait till the water dries out and then they'll sell the property to unsuspecting persons and leave the community. So they're asking for help seriously. I think 2 persons have died in that community as a result of that flooding.
Green Punch, who has a story?
Yes, I do. So the PDP is trying to, reconcile all their stakeholders and members. They had a meeting on Tuesday. It was supposed to be like a reconciliation meeting. They said that they had a few of their prominent members there. Former Senate President Bukola Saraki, the immediate past governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, was there. Many of them were there except for the former governor of Sokoto and Rivers State, that's Nyesom Wike and Aminu Tambuwal. They were not at the meeting, but they said they are calling the meeting really so that they could, look through what happened with the elections and also see how they can, better position themselves for for future challenges. They also said that they were quite happy. They gave like a review of their performances so far, especially the elections. They said in state houses of assembly, we have 342 members. They have 116 members, House of Reps. In the Senate, they have 36 members and 13 governors. They also believe that their principal, Atiku Abubakar, actually won, the election. They said that the tribunal cases in Kaduna, Nasarawa, Ogun, Kaduna, and Sokoto states, they believe will be in their favor. That is not the time to be pointing fingers at each other, but, a time for them to reconcile and work together for their party.
So the government is talking about the impact of the Naira devaluation that is going to push the Nigerian exports to about 42 trillion Naira, saying that, of course, we know last week there was an abolishment of segmentation. So all money deposits and all the bureau de change must be trading at the same rate. They said so. Naira fell from 471, which was the official window, to 6 64, closing the week at 663. And based on this, according to the expectation that there would be more dollar available, exports would increase, and importers and exporters will now be able to get true value for their products that they export. So they're expecting that there will be an increase in our exports to the tune of 41.99 trillion naira by the end of this year. And it looks good for us.
Okay, so in a related story, the state's external debt may rise to almost 3 trillion, and this is because of also this floating of the naira. According to this report, as of December 2022, the debt profile for the 36 states was $4.4 billion, which is about 2.09 trillion as of the 471 naira to the dollar. But with this new floating, it's coming to almost 2.96 trillion naira. With the 663 to the naira, so it's going to affect the external debt.
Because we have, yeah.
That's the real value of the naira. Okay, moving on now to Daily Sun. PDP's reconciliation talks suffer setback. Imo, PDP accuses the defected SWC members of mismanaging 1.4 billion naira campaign funds. I feel like a tiger ready to chase away all criminals, says acting IGP. Cardinal Onayekon hails change of service chiefs. Editors committed to defense of democracy press freedom, says NGE. Ramfak wants 36 states assembly to amend relevant laws. Atiku PDP closed case challenging Tinubu's victory. Naiti praises Tinubu's determination to end subsidy regime. And Enugu Ruguba Tribunal dismisses Naji's petition against Mba and Adioga. Okay. Yes,
so the acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Agbetokun, was declared his readiness to handle his new task. This was at his decoration with his new rank by the Vice President. He said that now that I've just been decorated, I look forward to taking over tomorrow at 11, that's today at 11 a.m. And he says that I really can't describe how I feel presently, but if I have to say anything, I will tell you that right now I feel like a tiger inside of me, ready to chase away all the criminals in Nigeria. Wow. And at another time, I feel like a lion in me, ready to devour all the internal enemies of Nigeria. That's my feeling right now. He's feeling Conqueror the lion is here.
In fact, that's the one.
That's the one. Anyway, we have the outgoing IGP who says that he's happy that he's handing over to someone that he knows, that they've worked together, they've grown together in the job. He's been his boss, and he has worked under him twice, so he's confident that he's handing over to someone that can
Let's see how that goes.
Okay, any other story in Sun?
Yeah. So the Executive Secretary and the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparent Initiative, that's the NAITI, Dr. Oji Ogunaya, was applauding the move that the subsidy being gone, said that anybody entertaining the thoughts of bringing back subsidy, which was a ruinous subsidy payment, should perish. The thought, said that what the next step should be, what the money being saved from subsidy, how we're going to channel it into producing, providing major infrastructure, building roads, electricity, security, healthcare, jobs, general well-being for Nigerians. Also said the next thing will be to study the consumption. He said it will depend on the knowledge, capacity of data, and prudent application of resources. He said the government needs to also ameliorate the pain of Nigerians, but that is totally with the no going back on subsidy removal. Said that over time, the figures being thrown up are not correct concerning our consumption, and that he believes that with the subsidy being removed and the incentives for ballooning the consumption figures taken out, that we would begin to see a more realistic figure of what our consumption actually is. And he's on the dissolution of the NAITI board, because, you know, our current president had dissolved almost all the boards except for 2. He said that he's of the opinion that they would meet with the SGF to discuss how vital it is to reconstitute a board and how to get around the challenges of not having a board right now.
Okay, moving on now to Vanguard. Presidential poll, Tinubu opens defense June 30th. Atiku will be closed cases on Friday. Over 6,000 Nigerian doctors lost to UK in 6 years, says International College of Surgeons. EFCC releases ex-governor Tom after 10 hours of grilling. Anxiety as ex-depot petrol price rises to 490 per litre. Confab, were committed to press freedom, defense of democracy, says editors. NGE, NDLEA General Ogunewe retired. Porter Novelli congratulates Ezen Nanaba. Why we oppose Nnamdi Kanu's request for access to his medical records, says DSS. Excuse me. I feel like a tiger ready to devour criminals, acting IGP Egbetokun. Okay, which story are you starting with?
I think I'll do the Emefiele story here. So the Department of State Services told the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, that the suspended CBN governor would be at flight risk if granted bail, that he would likely run away if they give him bail. So they said the service which, like the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, OAGF, also defended his continued detention and kept saying that he's at a flight risk. I think they submitted 2 counter affidavits in that, insisting on the same thing. So they said that, one, his life was not in any danger to warrant him being granted bail. And if he's granted bail, that could interfere with the investigations. And so they are not going to be doing that. They also, talked about the fact that he was not arrested because of his monetary policies. That was not the case. But they mentioned why he was taken. And they said he was arrested upon reasonable suspicion of committing acts which constitute a criminal breach of trust, incitement to violence, criminal misappropriation of public fund, economic sabotage, economic crimes of national security dimension, and undermining the security of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And, they had gotten, 14 days detention for him when they understood that investigating him would take quite some time. And so after all the investigations is done, and he's charged to court, then they will take it up from there. But for now, he's not in any form of danger. They also said that because he had claimed that they did not allow his lawyers and his family members to see him, they also said that was not the case.
So I want to take the story about Nnamdi Kanu. The Department of State Services has asked the federal government sitting to dismiss the application for his access to his medical records. They also defended why they have opposed giving Nnamdi Kanu access to is the medical record. They said, number one, he's eating well. They showed off his eating, his schedule, that he had his choice of meals prepared for him. They also mentioned that he had access to medical doctors that were checking on him, to his, but they didn't allow him access to, they have allowed unhindered access to his private physician. Ozekame, arguing for Nnamdi Kanu, said that the doctor said if he doesn't get proper medical care, he might die, and that they know while they are trying to ensure they get justice served, they can only get justice served to a man who is alive. He also mentioned that the DSS are talking about conducting ear surgery, and that is not, then he spoke about the fact that there's a 500 million naira damages that was awarded to him for the extraordinary rendition of the application from Kenya. So they're asking their implementation of that. The 500 million naira should be paid, and they seek his doctors to have time to see him so that they can get him proper medical care.
Right. Yes, I have the International College of Surgeons Nigerian section, the ICSNS. They had a communique was...
Go ahead.
Okay. So they're talking about how many doctors our country has lost to the UK. They said no fewer than 6,221 doctors have been lost to the UK in the last 6 years, and they gave a few reasons why they think this is. They said, first of all, they had done a study that showed that 87% of the workforce are dissatisfied and wish to emigrate to greener pastures. In 2022, we had a ratio of 1 doctor to 4,000 patients, whereas the World Health Organization recommended standard is 1 doctor to 600 patients. But then the gap has even widened further. Right now, they said the number of registered Nigerian doctors in the UK rose from 4,765 in 2017 to 10,986. And some of the things that has caused this is, they said, the weakening of our currency against the dollar. And so that makes it more attractive for them to go, because at that rate, healthcare professionals are earning 1/5 to 1/10 of what their foreign counterparts are earning. There's so many other advice that they also give. They say, especially for states and local governments, they need to attract healthcare professionals, they need to make sure that they have good healthcare facilities, good roads, improved electricity, access to potable drinking water, outstanding schools, and that will help in keeping our doctors in our country.
And one of the key things they also added was that the healthcare policy needs to also gradually transform from out-of-pocket to National Health Insurance Agency. So we need that health insurance scheme to be effective so that more funding can be put into the healthcare system and to lead to improved emoluments for our practitioners.
Let me take the RAMFAC story, very interesting in the Vanguard. RAMFAC, that's the Revenue Mobilization Allocation Fiscal Commission, has all 36 states that the State House of Assembly should make relevant adjustments in their laws to give room for upward review of remuneration package for all our politicians, judicial officers, and public officers. They said that the last time this review was carried out was in 2007, and that's 16 years ago. After the review, it is imperative that this category of office holders mentioned in the relevant section of the 1999 Constitution have a review of their remuneration based on consumer price index and all other things.
There's one interesting conversation.
We have to rough.
Placenta was stolen by nurses.
From
That's all we can take on front page review. When we return, move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.